Welcome to Hair by Sonia, where hair transformation begins. Whether you're looking for a fresh cut, bold color, or a complete makeover, Sonia and her expert team have you covered. At Hair by Sonia, we believe every client deserves to feel confident and beautiful. That's why we use only the best products and techniques tailored just for you. From the moment you walk in, you'll experience personalized care and a relaxing atmosphere designed to pamper you. Our clients love their results. Just look at these amazing transformations. Join our family of satisfied clients and discover why Hair by Sonia is the go-to salon for your hair needs. Ready for a change? Book your appointment today and let us bring out the best in your hair. Hair by Sonia. Love your hair. Love yourself. She says sports. She say sports. She say sports. She say sports. She say sports. Hey y'all, it's your girl Sonia, and welcome back to She Say Sports. Please welcome, oh wow, so many accolades. Please welcome sports executive, best-selling author, award-winning filmmaker, former Ole Miss women's basketball star, former professional basketball player, and 2022 Ole Miss Top 40 Under 40 alumni, Dr. Tywanna Smith. What's up, Doc?
Hi. So grateful to speak with you today. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And guys, she's a busy lady. I had to choose her accolades because there's so many. I love it. I absolutely love it. So, Doc, we're gonna get right into it. And I'm not gonna call you Taiwan. I want to be respectful. I'll call you Dr. Smith or Doc.
That's totally fine. You can T to one. Yeah,
okay.
That's totally fine.
Okay, let's be home folk. So T, tell us. I always ask athletes this question because I'm just curious as how your profession with basketball began. But how did your love for sports begin?
I always have to shout out and give kudos to my older cousin, Marcus Brown, who played in the NBA. He played high level in college at Murray State. And so I come from a basketball family because we supported him. And I think that's what gave me the taste of that sport environment. So he became my mentor. And when he was home, we'd shoot around and I just developed a love for the game. So I always have to credit him for exposing me to, the game at a high level and helping me develop my love.
That's what's up. And because of your love for sport, especially basketball, it took you to different heights and levels in the sports world. And Doc, your best-selling books, Surviving the Lights, A Professional Athlete's Playbook to Avoiding the Curse, and Plan 2, that's TOO, Guiding Your Athlete to Wealth and the Best Mental Health. So you not only focus on athlete's game or his stats, you focusing on finances and their mental health. And I love that. How do you see the relationship between financial well-being and mental health for athletes?
Oh, yeah. So for athletes who accomplish things and get to a high level of the game, there is that pressure, particularly when they come out of an environment where they just didn't have a lot of anything. There comes this pressure for them to be the provider for many people in their immediate family and then as they create their own families. And so it's vital that they understand how money works, how to maximize whatever money they receive. It could be some thousands, it could be millions. But I always try to look at the proactive way to alleviate stress, not just to deal with mental health issues afterwards. And so if they understand how money works, how to stretch it, how to budget, how to remove the emotion from it, it has served to be something to help them maintain a more stable mental wellness space, I like to call it, rather than feeling the brunt of not knowing what to do with money, going broke, leaving the game and not making the same amount and not knowing how to adjust their lifestyle. That has been something that's caused a lot of athletes a lot of anxiety and a lot of depression. And so I try to approach it from a financial literacy perspective and being proactive about addressing that relationship between financial literacy and mental health. But it's a very important topic in today's sports society.
Yes, it is, especially all the money that athletes are making now with the
Oh
endorsements,
yeah.
the like even with Dak Prescott, you know, he just got this
Yeah.
huge contract, but he's not producing. And so, you
Yeah.
know, they've lost 4 home games the last 4 games, and the fans are losing it. And it's like, I know that's a
Yeah.
lot of pressure on him mentally because it's like, I have all this money and now they want him to produce. So I totally understand. So, what unique challenges do athletes face in managing wealth and maintaining mental health compared to the general population?
Yeah, so it's a very unique experience, and it's even different from artists and entertainers, right? They
Yeah.
can still perform, and tour well into their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, depending on the genre of music, right? You have, the different actors and actresses. They can perform their art in an old age. It's very difficult to do that in sport, just simply
Yeah.
because of, your biological makeup and physics, father, your time. So because you're making a whole lot of money from playing and you are very visible and you have a platform, you're getting endorsements, but it's all compressed within a short number of years that you don't really know how long that will be. You could get hurt, politics and that sort of thing. It's very difficult for athletes to hear through what I like to call the noise of that. And many times while they hear when people say, this game is short, 3 to 5 years, and then after that, it's going to be different. You're likely not going to make the same amount of money. It's still so loud when they're in that moment, and there are so many things vying for their attention. There's so many temptations. They're such a fast lifestyle. It's really hard for them to have this long-term view of
Right.
making the right now, you know what I'm saying, last that
Yeah.
long, taking into account all the people they provide for, the lifestyle, the frivolous spending, the target they become, right, for people to sue them or try to get something from them. So that's the biggest challenge of trying to teach them skills that they didn't have before they got, this level of income in the moment that's going to last them a really long time. There's no other profession that has that same struggle that sports does as far as your earning potential being compressed into a short period of time. And it's sometimes very difficult to navigate.
And would you consider that as a misconception for athletes?
Yeah,
Would
for
you?
athletes, definitely for the people around them, because they think,
Yeah.
hey, you're making all this money, you're set for life, right? But as I tell my athletes, I mean, you deduct from anything long enough and you're going to get to zero if there aren't any other additions, right? And so, and that's what happens. And sometimes they underestimate how quickly they can blow through large
Right.
sums of money just from having this very expensive lifestyle and not preparing for certain things. And it's sort of ironic that they're able to watch so many athletes share stories of, hey, I wish I would have, man, I've filed bankruptcy, I've had this happen, yet they still make the same mistakes, right? And I have, my theories for why, but it's very interesting. It's very interesting.
And you know what you just said, they see people do it. Just like regular people like myself, we see people struggle and like my niece, my youngest niece, she's named after me, and I'm like, Sonia, stack your money. You still at
Yeah.
home with your mom. Just save your money. And when you get ready to go get your apartment or go get married, you have this money and you don't have to be stressed about, oh, how I'm gonna pay this. And I'm like, learn from our mistakes.
Right.
It's so important. So I guess it's the same thing, but just on a larger scale. And you mentioned family. How important are coaches, family, and friends in an athlete's journey to both financial security and mental wellness?
How important is that?
Those
Because
are, yeah, it's very important. Those are probably the most influential people. And so a lot of the programming and things that I do with many of my clients involve their family members, because the athlete doesn't just go pro, or they don't just get an NIL deal, right? The whole family is impacted by that. And as people who are close to these athletes, they have their trust, they have their ear. If they don't have the proper knowledge and expertise, and they're sharing things or placing pressures, right? Because family members are oftentimes worse than strangers. Okay.
yeah,
With many of them, trying to push them to do things they really can't afford to do because this is new to them as well. Their voices are the loudest throughout all that noise. And if they don't have, the proper skill set, it's going to be very difficult for them to support the athletes and teach them the proper way that they should handle that experience. And many times that's where most of the problems come from. And we don't really talk about that part a lot.
can we talk about that? Because and that's, and as I was researching for this interview, I'm thinking, I never really thought about it, but they have mental issues and mental problems because they're trying to, I got to take care of the family. They're trying to impress women. They got baby mama drama.
Yes.
They're trying to buy everything to show on Instagram how amazing they are, but they're
Yeah.
sad on the inside because they really can't afford it.
No. And it's so, one thing that I've done to address that is to create a financial literacy curriculum for teens, right? The sooner we can get this
You mean teen
life.
athlete? You mean
Yeah,
teen
for
athlete?
teens in general, but I
Period. Okay.
definitely use it with teen athletes, and it's called Teen Money Box. And essentially, it is a program that covers business, finance, and economics, so that they really have a strong foundation in just how money works before they even get to those levels in sport, but in life. And it's important because these are things that many of us picked up just from experience, right? Trial and error. Oftentimes they don't get that opportunity, right? I mean, you talk about NIL for students in high school, college. So they don't have the traditional collegiate experience that we had, that maybe you write a check and there's not any money there, or, no, they're handling the same pressures as adults now. And it's not realistic. And you have a lot of folks in intercollegiate athletics who are just screaming to the top of their lungs about this phenomenon that we see happening before our eyes. It's not realistic. And so as they are forging these habits and learning skills, they're not going to be able to sustain this level for the rest of their lives. But this whole issue of being educated is more important. So it's one reason why we launched this teen curriculum that we're now using with junior high and middle school students as well, because this is a life skill. It's a life skill we all need.
I love that. That is awesome because in our community, we really don't talk about money like that. And so I'll use an example for me. My freshman year at Jackson State, my mother gave me, and she didn't explain it to me. I'm in my mind as I'm like, I guess she thought I knew, but how would I know because I wasn't taught it? But she gave me a check, and she put my name on her check. She said, if you need anything, just use it. But I went crazy. I didn't tell her I wasn't dating in credit check. I wasn't doing any of that. And I'm like buying pizza for my friends. I'm buying clothes and
Having a good
and
time.
I mean, blowing money fast. BMF, I'm blowing money fast. So I went home one weekend, and she was like, "Do you have where's your checkbook?" And I was like, "In my purse." I'm like, "Why?" Oh, she's gonna give me a new stack. She was like, "Give me that," and she was like, "I'm taking your name off," and I'm like, and I was confused because I didn't know. I didn't know. She was like, "Why did you supposed to check in?" And I said, "Mama, I didn't know," but she thought I had common sense to know, to let her know, "Hey, I'm doing this," and she was like, "Well, make sure," so she could, but I didn't. So a lot of people in our community do not know. So I think this is amazing what you're doing. That's awesome. Teenagers need to know immediately. And it leads me to this. Your motto is no athlete left behind. Dr. T, what does that mean to you? Explain, what does that mean to you?
Yeah. So while there is a distinction between the pro-bound athlete, right, or the professional athlete, and just the student athlete who this is the end of the road for them, whether that's high school, college, what have you. Ultimately, though, they all need the same skill set. Okay. There are different pressures that the pro-bound athlete faces, but they all need the same base skill set. We're talking about financial literacy, effective communication skills, identity issues, right? Self-confidence. And so, what I try to do through programming and the way that I connect with these students and student athletes is to show them just that. Okay. The skills we're talking about, whether you go, whether you don't go pro, all right, you're going to ultimately end up in the same place as everyone else. Okay. Because you can't play
Right.
forever.
Can't play
So
forever.
this idea of only one subset needing this, or, that's not true. You need the same skills no matter what. And so in that vein, in that context, these off the court and off the field life skills that I try to teach them, I don't want to leave any athlete behind who may or may not make it to the pros like many of them want to do. I want you to know that you can be a success. You can build a brand, you can be an entrepreneur, you can be a business professional, right? Any way that this game takes you. And that's where that philosophy comes from.
I love it. I love it. So, what specific mental health practices do you recommend for athletes facing pressure and stress?
Yeah.
Would you?
Meditation, and there are several breathing exercises for sure. Journaling. I'm a fan of journaling. I've had many clients like myself who have had the opportunity to play sports abroad, and that's a different level of challenges where you're also dealing with some isolation at times, just because there's this culture shock where you may not speak the same language, maybe the food's different, you're away from your family, and those are ways to help you cope with those mental stressors from being in a different environment. I also suggest therapy, right?
Yeah,
Many times, and I think that we're seeing some momentum and traction in this space for people to feel comfortable
yeah,
with that whole idea of talking to someone professionally who can help you work through and process some of the things
right.
that you're feeling and thinking in a different way. And I always advocate for mentorship, and this is a form of that when you are working with someone who can help you in that way. So those are sort of three of my go-tos, when I'm talking about that sort of ways to kind of balance your mental wellness.
I love it. That's great. So, Dr. Smith, how can athletes prepare for life after sports in terms of both finances and mental health?
Yeah, start now. First of all, one thing that I write in my book, Plan 2, is that oftentimes we, the people around the athletes, we encourage them to procrastinate
Yeah,
unknowingly, right? When we talk about it in those terms, like after the game, when you get done, what are you going to do? And I think in many ways, it teaches athletes that they have a little bit more time to figure things out. So in their minds, it's like, okay, I'll get to that when I'll cross that bridge when I get there.
right.
I teach them anything that you want to do, and there are some different strategies that are in the book to help them figure out what they want to do outside of sport and to do it now. You do not have to wait. I don't care what career pathway, what business you want to launch and start. You can do it now. And it benefits you to do it now when you're hot, right? When all eyes are on you, when you have the power to walk in a room with the team across your chest and just command attention and people want to be next to you,
Right.
use that influence and the platform while you're in these lights to practice what you're going to do when you're done, right? And so with NIL becoming a thing and so many players interested in learning, I teach them things you could have been doing before NIL was a thing, right? And it's just a part of kind of owning your entrepreneurial traits, because as athletes, there is a lot of synergy between, those two tracks. So I teach them to practice it now. And there are some scientific and non-scientific ways to help them figure out what they're best suited to do. Because the true flex is to do something you love, right? Not just get a job making a lot of money or choose something because of the money that it earns you, but do something you love and it'll never feel like work.
That's great advice. And 3 people I think of, 3 athletes when they retired, because they're so competitive. My favorite of all time, Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, Brady, and Kobe. Now, Tom retired the first time for 2 months, and he came out of retirement, lost his marriage. And I'm sure something was going on before that, but that was probably one of the stipulations for them to stay together. And he got divorced. But Kobe, I was not a Kobe fan, but I respected the game. He is definitely one of the greats, because everybody was saying he was Michael Jordan. I'm like, lies. I mean, come on, stop.
It's only one. It's only one.
Only one. So Kobe, but what I love about Kobe, when he got ready to retire, I cried because I knew that was the beginning of the end of the era of basketball as we know it.
Right.
That was happening. And I was following Vanessa already on IG, and I was like, I'm gonna start following him when he retired. I just wanted to see what he was gonna do. He mentally, to me, handled being retired so well, because it's like he understood, it's family time now. My children, my wife. He was a coach with Gigi, and I loved seeing him be a father to his daughters. And I think he understood the balance of it all. It's like, I love basketball, but it's time for me to do something else. He did well. He did it well.
Yeah. He was fulfilled. He did everything he could do. And that's the challenge. Most athletes don't get a chance to walk out on their terms like that. And so that's where you have a lot of these transition issues come into play, because they haven't prepared. They hadn't thought about it. They hadn't thought about anything else that they are good at, anything else that they can do with that same level of proficiency other than sport. And then suddenly it hits you in the face. I tore my ACL in high school, so I know the game, it can go just like that, right? And you're not prepared, right? And so that's the whole idea of being prepared. One thing I appreciate, though, about Kobe and the players that you named is that there's such an intense learning and desire to be great at what they're, not to just do it, right? Like to be great at it. And because you have that burning desire, you put your all into it, so that at the end of the day, wherever things may fall, okay, you can live with that, because you gave your all to it. The thing that people don't realize when you're transitioning out is the identity shift. Okay. And I tell this to players, just like, well, I never thought of it that way, right?
Wow.
You have never, when you get to that level of the game, or even through college, and you lose the game as you transition into a career, it is a very extreme and can be traumatic event, because think about this. You are now relearning. You're not just losing the game. That's a transition in itself. You're losing a sense of who you are, because you have been conditioned to do this, if you made it to that level, for a really long time. I'm talking sometimes elementary school on up, junior high, high school, through college, and then suddenly it's gone, okay? But in that, who you have become suddenly is a different person. You've never been a young adult without sport when you get to that level of graduating college, or, having the game in for you that way. So who are you when you don't have this game, when so much of your day is not commanded? And this is not there's not a simple way for you to develop. When I talk about that sense of identity, that's one thing I work with programs on. How do you figure that thing out? And it starts with you figuring yourself out without sport, but it's really hard to think that way when from sun up to sundown, that's really all your life revolves around. And I feel like as people who have influence on these players and the game, we have a duty to make that part of our process right? A little bit more important in the way that we support them and help them figure these things out before they leave the game. But that identity crisis is real.
Did you go through the identity crisis when you retired?
I went through it. I don't know that I would say it was as extreme as many cases I see now, in part because I had torn my ACL at a young age. And so I had experienced what that was like. It was realer to me than to most who have never had an injury like that, that ends your season, okay? Because I knew that it could happen just like that, okay? And I had to be ready. And so I made a shift then as a junior in high school. I was already a great student. I became overachiever. I started thinking bigger than the game, at an early age. And then having a cousin in the NBA, I had a few assets that many players don't have. I had a few experiences, heart-wrenching, but probably one of the most impactful experiences of my life that helped me prepare for that eventual transition out. But it's still a real thing.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Dr. Smith, you are also an award-winning filmmaker. Tell us about your international sports documentary, Balling Abroad.
Yeah. So this was really fun. I, of course, played professionally abroad when I came out of college. Actually, I earned my MBA first, and then I went overseas in part to get my knees cleaned up, right? Because this was still my dream. And I had a great experience. I went in, again, having a mentor who has played, in these spaces. I went in knowing what to expect, knowing to have an open mind, to want to learn, and another culture and those things. And once I retired, I became a financial advisor and I began to work with other athletes. That was my way to stay connected to the game. And I've done that for almost 18 years. Over the course of my career, though, I've worked with different players, NBA players who end up overseas, WNBA players who end up overseas, NFL players who end up in other leagues outside the United States, trying to fulfill the dream. And I realized that there is a different level. Like, it's already tough being a pro, right? Dealing with the expectations of other people, trying to stay on rosters and just the competition. But then you have another layer of struggles being abroad, right? And so I was speaking with one of my clients, former NBA player. He's played in EuroLeague. The Chinese Basketball Association won multiple championships there. And he was sharing some of his struggles with me freely. And I said, you know what, that's interesting. I've had other clients share the same thing, and it hasn't changed since I played back in 06, 07. And we began to speak, and I said, you know what, why don't we make a movie, right? Because there are a lot of players. There are probably more players that play overseas because there are more spots in different countries than those who play domestically. And that's how that idea was born. He's like, let's do it. And so he independently supported it, funded it. We found sponsors, and we began to create this script and find players who were American athletes who had won abroad to share their experiences of playing abroad, but also advice. Because the other part of this, there is no training, there is no curriculum, there's not a draft process for you to get overseas. And so how a lot of people are just uneducated about that entire process. And so that's where the idea was born for us to create this documentary entitled Ballin' Abroad, where we chronicled the lives of 5 American champion athletes who've won abroad, to share the behind the scenes of their lifestyles abroad, their challenges, but more importantly, their triumphs, and advice for those who are seeking that same pathway to pro sports.
That's awesome. And was one of the challenges for them loneliness?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Were you homesick? Were you homesick?
Yeah, and I did. So back in my day, we used Skype, right? And so we would Skype home and speak with our families, but you still have the time difference. When you're awake, oftentimes they're sleeping and vice versa. Yeah, it's still a very isolating experience as a whole. And some players are in countries that aren't as Americanized, where nobody speaks English. The food is very different. In fact, many people probably don't even like Americans. So everywhere you go, you're getting these stares, and we don't oftentimes realize how the political landscape impacts
Right.
how people see you as a foreign person in their land. Yet I would say I speak for, the majority of players who go through this, who, when we say that it's still worth it, right? It's still a great life experience that you probably otherwise wouldn't have experienced if you didn't play this game abroad.
Correct. And because sometimes it's a sacrifice to get to do what you love. And
Yeah.
yeah. So what were some of the biggest challenges you faced during production?
Oh, wow. So we filmed this in China, which is interesting. It was really fun, though. I would say in many ways, it was kind of traumatic because this was our first film and he was still playing. Okay. He's
Oh,
actually
okay.
still playing, but like he was in season as we were kind of charting and planning everything out. So I bore the brunt of most of that. And I would say the challenge is more kind of organizing production, right? Like the team and where we're filming, the subject, to making sure that they are prepared, and just those sort of logistics can be overwhelming. I'm sure the people who do this for a living understand that, but that was probably the hardest part. As far as the content, what we wanted to talk about and the key issues, I mean, we could do that in our sleep because we've lived it, right? But I would say the logistics behind coordinating all of the moving parts was most, particularly in a foreign place, was most difficult.
Right. Okay. And what message or impact do you hope the film has on viewers?
First and foremost, we pray that it helps to humanize these players, right? While we are superheroes in our own right, we are still human, and we do still deal with many of the same challenges that, I would say regular people who don't have to do this deal with. We get homesick. We're not always right. Sometimes we get nervous and afraid. It's just not all bells and whistles that we're just these privileged individuals who get to make a lot of money and do what we work very hard and make a lot of sacrifices to do what we love and to represent our country in a positive way. And so we pray more than anything that we humanize the experience. And then secondly, I would say that we educate other players about things they can do when they are dealing with some of the same challenges that we're giving a voice to, but then also the public and the fan base about the experience, so that hopefully they have a better understanding of what we have to go through to play the game that we love.
That's awesome. And which was more challenging, writing books, being a filmmaker, or being an athlete?
Being a filmmaker all day. The athlete part, again, you do it for so long, and that's easy. Writing and reading books and all of that, those are skills the Lord blessed me with. They come very naturally to me. I think both books I wrote within 2 weeks, just because they're things that I've been wanting to get out and to the masses in a way. It's one thing to work with a player one-to-one, but you can reach more when you create something like that tool. But yeah, absolutely. The producing the film was a lot more difficult.
Dr. Smith, first of
Yes.
all, I want to thank you again for coming on the show.
Yes.
However, before we leave, I play a game called What You Know.
Okay.
And it's a way for the listeners to get to know the guests better, as well as myself. So I'm going to ask you a few questions, and I'm doing multiple choice, and they're all Miss questions. Since you hotty toddy.
Hotty toddy all day.
When I so you're originally from Memphis, is that correct?
Correct. West Memphis, Arkansas, but
Okay.
when I travel, I say Memphis because people think but yeah, West Memphis, Arkansas.
Okay, awesome. All right, the first one. This Hardy Junior High from Jackson, Mississippi player was rumored to have scored 85 points in a 32-minute game. He later led the SEC in scoring 2 years in a row as a sophomore and junior. Who was he? Was he James Robinson, Ronnie Henderson, Gerald Glass, or Lindsey Hunter?
Lindsey Hunter. Just gonna guess.
No. He went to Jackson State.
Gerald Glass. Oh, I'm struggling.
That's okay. It's all fun. Ronnie Henderson.
Ronnie Henderson. Okay, I'll remember that next time. Okay.
Ole Miss versus LSU. Gerald Glass scored 53 points for the Rebels. What Gulfport native poured in 55 points for the Tigers? Was it Chris Jackson, Literal Green, Ronnie Henderson, or Jonathan Bender?
I'm gonna say Chris Jackson.
Very good. Chris Jackson, aka Mahmoud Abdul Raouf.
Yes.
He's been on my show and he does not answer to Chris Jackson at all. I never thought of that anyway, but yeah.
Yeah.
Gerald World Class Glass became Ole Miss's sixth all-time scorer in just 2 seasons after transferring from what Mississippi school? Was it Mississippi College, Delta State, Jackson State, or Mississippi Valley State? I wouldn't have got this one either.
I'm gonna say Mississippi Valley.
Delta State.
Delta State.
Down the street, Mississippi Valley. Yeah, down the street.
I feel like I should know this. Okay.
That's okay.
Okay. I got it.
Just for fun. Former Ole Miss women's coach led the WNBA's Houston Comets to win the first 4 championship in the league's history. You better know this one. Who's this coach?
I got this one.
Ford, Robert Peters, Van Chancellor, or
Yes.
Dave Chanel?
Van Chancellor. One of my best friends played on that team, Yolanda Moore. So yes.
She's been on the show. I love Yolanda. Oh my God.
Yo is my sister.
Absolutely. Lindsey Hunter scored big at Jackson State and was the 10th overall pick of the 1993 draft, selected by the Pistons. Who was his high school backcourt partner who averaged a whopping 40 points a game? Was it Jozon Darby, Ronnie Henderson, James Robinson, or Jesse Pate?
Jozon played it. Wasn't Jozon, was it? No.
Jozon is younger than
He's young. That's what I was thinking. They weren't okay. Pate.
Nope. James Hollywood Robinson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Backcourt with Lindsey Hunter. Okay.
Yeah, we all went to school together at the same time, and it was and
That
Chris
was
Jackson.
exciting.
Yeah, it was amazing. And so we're all in, JPS schools. Mahmoud was in Gulfport, but he would come to Jackson and play in the tournament. So it was amazing. It was just amazing to see them. I'm thankful. I know them all, and they're amazing. What Quitman native scored 69 points for Quitman High School before starring at the University of Alabama? Was it James Robinson, Eric Washington, Derek McKee, or Antonio McDyess?
Alabama. I thought I knew this one.
And I don't even know why it's in here, because I don't think this person went to Ole Miss, but it was in there. James Robinson, Eric Washington, Derek McKee, or Antonio McDyess?
I don't feel like. Why have McKee?
Dang, you was close. I thought you was going to say McDyess. Antonio McDyess.
Well, that was my first thought, but I was like, did he? Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah, I don't even know why that was a part of the questions, but
yeah. No, this
I love it. What Mississippian won MVP honors at the 1992 McDonald's All-American Game and was named Freshman of the Year in the Big East Conference the following year? Was it Othello Harrington, Darius Rice, Antonio McDyess, or Mario Bland?
What McDyess was it?
No.
Who was the first one?
Othello Harrington.
Take a stab. Was it Harrington?
Yep.
It was okay. Lucky guess.
He also went to Burr. He also, I mean, it was, boy, they used to be balling, I'm telling you. This is a true or false question. Eric Dampier and Jeff Malone led Mississippi State to the NCAA Final Four in 1996. Was that true or false?
Who? Say the names again.
Eric Dampier and Jeff Malone led Mississippi State to the NCAA Final Four in 1996.
It might be it's somewhere in there. Maybe I'm gonna say true.
False.
That's false.
Because Jeff Malone, he left Mississippi State in 1983.
Oh Lord, way off. Okay. Now you know I'm not a state. I'm not professional. This is.
Yeah, because I know, but if that's again, I don't know why they added.
Yeah, the Mississippi stuff.
I was trying to do all the Ole Miss stuff. Two more and we're done. The former Ole Miss tandem of Justin Reed, Aaron Harper, and David Sanders had what nickname? Was it the Three Musketeers, the Provine Posse, the Jazz Bunch, or the Hydrants?
Provine Posse. I came in with those guys. I came in with Justin. And yeah.
That's my high school. And I actually sang at Justin Reed's funeral. Awesome. Great guys. I remember. Yeah, that was a hard one. Last but not least, this Lady Rebel was a starter for 4 years. She was selected to be captain of the team in 2003-04 season, her senior year. On March 4th, 2004, in an SEC tournament game against Alabama, she pulled down 13 rebounds, which is tied for the third best number of rebounds in an SEC tournament game. Who is she?
Yours truly.
I think it's my soror.
Oh wow, what a blast from the past.
I know you was like, but you was thinking like, who is it?
Wow.
Yeah. You are so welcome. Thank you for joining me. And tell the listeners how they can follow you on social media, get a copy of your books, and also see your documentary.
Yes, you can visit my website for everything Dr. T, and it's Tywanna Smith, TYWANNA Smith.com. I am on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Dr. Tywanna Smith, all together. And my books are available on Amazon. The film has not come out yet. It should be out in the first quarter of 2025, so be on the lookout for that.
Right. I have to bring you back on the show so we can
Yes.
tell you about it. And guys, you can follow She Say Sports on Facebook, She Say Sports 23 on Instagram, and please subscribe to our YouTube page, She Say Sports. Well, that's my show for today. Until next time, this is Sonia with She Say Sports. Peace.